What is a cult classic? And after how long can we define a certain film as such? To answer this question, I want to take Troy as an example and wonder, has this movie been forgotten? Since I've taken on the project to watch 200 movies a year, Troy has always been in the back of my mind. It was one of the few movies that my family owned on DVD back in a time where streaming services weren't a thing, so I ended up watching it quite a few times. The director's cut is over 3 hours long, so as a kid I probably never watched it in one go, as the memory of the second part of the film has always been blurrier than the first. The movie was always very appealing to me, but I also realize now that it may not have been very appropriate for a 10-year-old. Just last month, I finally watched it again for the first time in over 10 years, and this time I sat down on a Sunday afternoon to enjoy it fully on a big screen. Troy was definitely a financial success. With an initial budget of $175 million, it earned almost $500 million worldwide and ended up making the list of the top 10 films of 2004, but the critics did not agree with it. The story was inspired by Homer's Iliad and the myth of Achilles, but most of it was not faithful to the source material. Luckily, the public disagreed, and with time the movie became a success and has been enjoyed for what it is, rather than a faithful adaptation. The film was directed by the German Wolfgang Petersen, a director that was never on the spotlight in Hollywood, despite his other works like The Boat, The Neverending Story, and Air Force One. The cast is stellar, with actors that at the time were all in the prime of their careers, such as Orlando Bloom, Brad Pitt, Eric Bana, and Diane Kruger. So with all this being said, why is this film not talked about anymore? I believe the answer is hiding in plain sight. Troy has been overshadowed by other films released in that same year or in the early 2000s in general. Marvel Studios was not yet around at the time, but let's not forget that during those years there were franchises so big such as Star Wars and The Lord of the Rings going on. However, there were 4 films that in 2004 had a great success: Shrek 2, Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, The Incredibles, and most importantly Spider-Man 2. You might think, well, good movies can coexist and not be forgotten, right? There was a time when Pulp Fiction, Forrest Gump, The Shawshank Redemption, and Jurassic Park were all in theaters at the same time, so what happened? I think that this time the difference is that those 4 movies are franchises that still live on to this day. Incredibles got a sequel in 2018, Shrek will get another sequel next year, Tobey's Spider-Man came back in 2021, and Harry Potter will get a whole new series soon. Troy came out in a year that laid the groundwork for franchises that will probably never die, and it's that one standalone epic film that nobody talks about anymore. Troy died young, while the good old franchises still live on and have many stories to tell.
War is young men dying and old men talking.